Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello and welcome to Teach Me Tech. I'm your host, Laurel Gray, and I'm joined by the amazing Guy Pearson from Interactive Accounting. He is our resident chartered accountant, and he's here to talk today about how to get more out of Xero.
That I am.
That's right. We will be talking all about getting more out of Xero, so you're going to need to have your computer with you for this episode of Teach Me Tech because, as you know, we always are doing live demonstrations. Of course, we're talking about the pros and cons of doing things, but we're also going to walk you through live on the screen.
Yep.
So make sure you've got your laptop or your computer in front of you, whether you're at the home or in the office, and follow along with us. All right. Are you ready to get started and find out what we're going to cover? So a little bit more advanced today. We're going to talk about setting up online payroll, specifically across Australia, the UK, and the United States, or finding a payroll integration that will work for you. We'll talk about creating rules for bank transactions with no invoices, for example, bank charges. Setting up tracking categories for customizing reports. I don't even know what that, I hope you know what that means, Guy.
I do.
Oh, gosh, wow. So we'll talk about setting up the way you want to see your reports with customization of layouts. Okay, wow, so you can customize your reports.
Yep.
Taking advantage of the 400 plus add-ons. That part I'm looking forward to because there are so many different options. We'll talk about back office, how you can kind of have some control around your payables and receivables. And then CRM, inventory, project management systems, and reporting systems that you perhaps can bolt on to Xero. And then if you're feeling like you're just a bit too small for integrations, we'll talk about connecting in Gmail and to use Xero as your actual CRM for your business. And then finally, some examples of how to get more out of Xero in your business. So we have got a lot to cover. Let's get started. Now, we know Xero is the world's largest cloud accounting software. Perhaps, Guy, you can kick us off by talking a little bit about what we covered in the last episode.
So last episode, we took a very broad overview of what it's like to set up Xero for your business. We talked about different scenarios, so coming in fresh with a brand new business, importing data in from an existing system like a MYOB, a QBD, or a QBO. Those are acronyms. They're legacy accounting systems that are desktop-based or other cloud accounting systems. We also talked just about the general settings, so putting all your details in there, making sure you connect your bank accounts, how you can invite different users in, understanding the basic dashboard and how it gives you a general overview of your cash position. And we even went so far as to show you how to code a few transactions, which you can do from your phone on the bus at any point in time. So what we tried to do is really give you the basic 101 of how to use Xero for your business and how to get started.
And it was pretty in-depth. Like, there are a lot of different pieces to Xero.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that we covered off in the first episode, which is really around seeking advice. If you're confused, if you're not sure, maybe perhaps you're importing some data from a previous accounting system, the recommendation is to always seek advice from an accountant.
100%. And I think it's just like anything else, like a legal contract, you go see a lawyer. If you're going to paint the house and you've never painted before, you consult a painter. Same kind of thing. Make sure that you always consult an expert. Otherwise, trying to take a half-finished job over to somebody, it usually ends up being more expensive than going there in the first place.
Yeah. So what we're saying is just do it right the first time, and you will have no regrets.
The last thing we covered was that there's a demo file within Xero. So if you just want to have a play, you can sign up for your own trial and then go into the demo account and completely mess it up. Nothing will happen. The data is reset every 24 hours. But at least it gives you the experience of what it's like to use the platform.
Yep, that's great. That's really good to know. Awesome. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about, I think, was around payroll.
Yep.
Right. So
It's exciting. You get paid.
absolutely. Every business needs to have some kind of payroll system. And what you're inferring here with this topic is that you can either do it within Xero or there are perhaps some add-ons.
Yeah, that's
Is that
right. So Xero has a pretty strong payroll engine in Australia. It still has its limitations, but for majority of businesses, it works just fine. In the US, very similar sort of notion. They sort of can do it to a certain point in a good range of states, but I believe not all states. But they exclude things like benefits and other kinds of things you may want tied to your payroll system, particularly in the US, where benefits is always tied in with payroll, and they don't have things like fringe benefits tax like we do.
Yep.
So it really depends on the business. In the UK, Xero's payroll engine's very, very good. So I talk about this with personal experience. So I run a company called Practice Ignition right now. We actually use payroll in Canada, US, UK, and Australia, and New Zealand, all connected into Xero. So rather than talking about hypotheticals, I figured I could share with you guys what the options are, just quickly, and then maybe have a detailed look at what's involved in setting it up and what information you need. So if we jump on the screen right now, we are now live inside the demo account we set up in our last episode. You've got settings, payroll settings, very simple. Inside payroll settings, you're able to set things like what days you're going to run your payroll, what rules there are, what payday there is, how often. And as you can see, Xero always has amazing help and status parts here. So you can go like add a pay calendar. So pay calendar describes, when are you going to pay somebody? So it can be as simple as going, I'm going to pay them fortnightly, which in Australian terms is basically every 14 days. I think it's called bi-monthly in other parts of the world.
Yep.
But I might say fortnightly Thursday. We're going to start our first payroll tomorrow. The first payment date will be tomorrow as well, and we hit add. Payroll is set up. If we go back into payroll settings, so that's the payroll, what was that one? The payroll date that we're going to have there. We can set up other things like which bank account's going to be paid out of, default liability accounts, which is probably going way over your head, but effectively it shows where things are going to be debited and credited against. Any employee groups, so you might segment between sales, marketing, admin. You can even enter timesheets into Xero. So if you want people to do that and they're paid hourly, you can do that as well.
Excellent. Can you just make it a little bit bigger on
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
screen
can do
so
that.
we can all see?
Oh.
Okay, that's great.
You can also upload a company logo so that you have that going through to your staff.
On the payroll slip, you
On
mean?
the payroll slip.
Oh, that's great.
So I might put in a PR logo.
Cool. Yeah, give us a little bit of a demo.
A little bit of a
on
demo.
that. And one of the things that Guy mentioned the last time as well, just as that's uploading, is that Xero is really smart, and so it's going to adapt to your region. So what he mentioned about fortnightly, which is every 2 weeks, that will adjust to your sort of local slang and how that's called, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. So if we jump back into the screen one more time, so we've got the logos now been uploaded. You can go through and set up those calendars. You can choose what kind of holidays you offer. So, for instance, you might say that you offer a particular state's holidays, and you can add that so that it's available there. So when you're adding your staff, when it's adding your staff in, they can choose the state that they're in, and it will automatically determine the public holidays for them, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Different pay items, so what you're paying them for, reimbursements, leave rates, deductions. Earnings could be something like a salary, but also an allowance. And then superannuation, which is the 401k things and the national insurance we talked about last time. You build up a list of your superannuation funds for the Australian businesses and your employees. And then you make sure that this is set up so that your automatic payroll for superannuation, as we covered off in the last episode, can actually run.
Yep. Very important for compliance purposes. All of that needs to be recorded and paid by a certain date, at least in Australia.
That's right. And so up here, when you're ready to roll, you literally just run a pay run. It probably won't let me go all the way through because we don't have super set up or an employee. But effectively, any employees would be listed in here, and you can have this run your payroll automatically based on the pay templates. So what we're trying to do is keep this really simple. Really important to understand is that you may need help getting this kicked off. And that the process would simply be post-pay run, download your ABA file, upload into your bank account, and pay it out of the Aussie version. So
ABA file is essentially the coding for payroll.
Yep. So basically, it's a file that I don't know exactly in what format, but effectively it's delimited text. You can upload it into your bank. Your bank will read it and go, "You want to pay Laurel $500 for the work she did last week," and it will then load it up as something you can just choose your bank account from, send it, and the money will go over to Laurel.
Another way to just automate and sort of streamline your business, and Xero can help with that. And are there ever any automatic integrations?
There are.
Just dump it in?
Yeah, so there are, but obviously you need to set those up as well, but we may as well run through those. So particularly extending out Australian payroll is KeyPay. KeyPay is amazing when you start to deal with cost centers, when you've got time and attendance requirements, when you've got lots and lots of compliance issues. You can see their website here where they cover off the pay conditions. All those things get tied in. So literally someone can sign in, start their shift, finish their shift, and it'll figure out the award rate and push that data over into Xero to run the payroll. So really, really cool, and they scale right up. So Xero's payroll and their own admission is not designed for, should we say, medium-sized businesses, so it's probably 50 to 100 and above. KeyPay will scale all the way up to thousands.
Got it. Okay, so you might want to consider taking a look at a bolt-on service such as KeyPay if you do have specialized needs.
Perfect. So we're going to go around the world really quickly and just cover off payroll. So Gusto is the payroll I use. Used to be called Zen Payroll, and they tie payroll and benefits, so you can use them in the US. They will do things like pay your workers' comp for you in particular states, determine your state, federal, and local tax rates. Everything's done automatically. Really nice and easy to use. Great support team, great crew of people over there. Xero also has their own one in the US. It's just not as comprehensive.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.